Hi, welcome to my video on solving mixture word problems. Solving mixture word problems is very similar to solving interest and commission problems in that you have percentages. But they're a little tiny bit different because we're mixing quantities together. So what happens is, if you take a quantity of 80% antifreeze and mix it with a quantity of 50% antifreeze, if the resulting solutions is 90 liters, of 90 liters has a concentration of 70%, what quantity is each is used? So what I do, I make up containers. Watch. And I pretend that I'm mixing these two containers together to give you this one. So this is the 80%, and this is the 50% that's going to mix together to give you the resulting 70% solution. We don't know how much of this we're going to use, so we call X. I don't know how much of this one I'm going to use, I call it Y. But when we do mix them together, we'll get the 90 liters. So I find this a convenient way. And what happens? Now if you take these two, which is X and Y, and add them together, you're going to get your 90 liters. But if you take 80% of X and 50% of the Y quantity, you're going to get 70% of the 90 liters. And so this equation is okay. We call that equation 1. That's all right. But we have to simplify this equation. So 80% you could say is decimal 80 or decimal 8. 50% you could say it's 0.5. And 70% you could say decimal 7. So if you change your percent to a decimal, I could have decimal 80, decimal 50, and decimal 70, but because they're all percents with one decimal place, I can just go decimal 1. But again, if you want to go with 80s, go ahead. Now we have to multiply this one, so I'm going to simplify the right side first before I do anything. So decimal 7 times 90 is 63. Now I multiply by 10. 10 multiplied by 10. So now I have this second equation, which is 8x plus 5y equals 630. So if I multiply this equation by -5, I will get -5x minus 5y equals -450. And this equation is multiplied by 1, so it's not going to change. It's 8x plus 5y equals 630. Add, the y's cancel out, and I get 3x equals 3x, and you subtract that, and you get 630 subtract 450, you get 180. And divide by 3, I get x is equal to 60. So 60 is 60 liters. And if you sub that into, I'm going to sub 60 for x into, and the easier equation is x plus y equals 90 as number 1. So x plus y equals 90. X is 60, so 60 plus y equals 90. Y is 90 minus 60, so y is 30. So x is the 80% solution, so the 80% solution, you have 60 liters, and the 50% solution, which is your y, you have 30. So 30 liters. Again, check it out. If you add these up, 60 and 30 makes 90. That's good. 60 and 30 makes 90. If you take 80% of 60, you get 48. If you take 50% of 30, you get 15. And 48 and 15 adds up to give you 63, which is 70% of 90. That's one problem. Let's do another one. In a class math test, the average mark for those who passed was 80%. The average mark for those who failed was 40%. If 40 students in the class received an average mark of 70, how many failed? So notice I only want not who passed, but who failed. Okay? So this is very similar to the mixture problem. The only difference is that if X number of students passed, then the number of students multiplied by 80, you treat the 80% as you could treat the 80% as 80, a mark of 80, so you don't have to do the percent, but we will. We'll do them all as a percent, but you could have 80 marks average. You could have 40 marks, so the percentage is only because out of 100. And so if you take the number of students who passed and multiply by 80, you get their total marks. If you take the number of students who failed and multiply by 40, you get their marks, total marks. If you add all the marks together, you get the same as multiplying 40 by 70. So it's very similar to a mixture problem. So we have the number of students who passed, we call it P. The number of students who failed, call it F. So the average mark for the students who passed is 80%. You could say 40% for those who failed, or just 40. And together, if you add these together, you're going to get the total number of students altogether, and that's going to give you total number of students is going to have an average mark of 70. And the total number of students we know to be 40. So if you add up the P, the students who passed, plus the students who failed, you would have your 40 students total. If you take 80% of the people who passed, or 80% times P, or just 80 times P, is your choice, but let's go with the percent to keep it okay, plus 40% times F, that's going to equal 70% times 40. So it's very similar to the equation that we have up here. And again, we have decimal 8 or decimal 80, and you got P. You got 40%, which is decimal 4 times F, and you got 70%, which is decimal 7 times 40. We tidied the equation up just to make, because decimal 7 times 40 is 28. So now we multiply by 10, we get 8P plus 4F equals 280. So this equation, along with this one, this is number 1. This equation is number 2. So if we put 8P there plus 4F equals 280, put them below each other, I'm going to multiply this equation by negative 4. And that gives us a negative 4P minus 4F equals negative 160. We do not have to multiply this one at all because we're multiplying by 1. But that doesn't affect the equation. So what happens? The F's cancels out. The students who passed, 4P, P for pass, is 120. So you divide by 4 and you get P is equal to 30. But if I were thinking right, I could have eliminated the P and got the F right away, but I didn't. So now I have to go and put it into what? I got a sub 30 4P into number 1. So P plus F equals 40 students. And P is 30. The number of students who failed is 40 minus 30, which is 10. So the number of failed students number of failed students, the number of students who failed is 10. Again, I could have eliminated the P and got the F right away. But the problem is working because, again, repeat, if you have an average mark, then that average mark is multiplied by the number of students to give you a total. So it works very similar to the mixture. Working. Now we have two problems. It says practice. You can pause your video and work out this problem. Press play to see if your answer is right. The workings through. So here we go. We got a mixture. A chemist is mixing. So we got a bucket, another bucket or a container, and another container. And we're adding these two containers together to get this one. So we have a 65%. We have a 40%. And it comes up with a 60% solution. And as you can see, 65 mixed with 40, you're going to get a mixture somewhere in between these two, which is 60. And we don't know how much of this one we're mixing. We don't know how much of this one we're mixing. And we're coming up with 100 ounces. So a chemist is mixing 65 with a 40% solution to get a 60% solution. And 100 ounces is being made, so we don't know. We got to find out how many ounces of each of these. Again, the easy equation is x plus y. You add these together, it's going to give you 100. And we multiply here, 65% of x plus 40% of y is the same as 60% of 100. And we can notice we got two decimal places here, so 65x. Two decimal places here is decimal 40, or go decimal 4, either or. And decimal 60 times 100. So let's simplify the right side. Decimal 60 times 100 is 60. And now we multiply everything by 100 because there's two decimal places. So 65x plus 40y equals 6,000. So we put this equation right below this one. And we multiply this equation by negative 40 because I'm going to eliminate the y's. When I do that, I will get negative, let's write it down below, negative 40x minus 40y equals negative 4,000. Multiply negative 40 by all of these. And I do not touch the other equation. I don't touch it because I'm multiplying it by 1. So if you think of multiplying it by 1, you get the same equation. And you add, they cancel, and you get negative 40 and 65 is 25x equals 6,000 subtract 4,000 is 2,000. Divide by 25, and x comes out to be 25 divided into 2,000. Use your calculator, you get an 80. And you're going to sub 80 4x, and again, look at the equation. This is equation 1. This is equation 2. So if you sub that into number 1, you get x plus y equals 100. This is equation 1. X is 80. 80 plus y equals 100. Y is 100 minus 80. Y is equal to 20. So we have the 65% solution. 65% solution has or is 80, and we have ounces. So we have 65% solution is 80 ounces, and the 40% solution is 20 ounces. Always add for ounces. And again, if you add these up, ounces, you got 100, If you take 65% of 80 and take 40% of 20 and add them up, you should get the same as 60. And we have another problem that the more practice you get, the better. So again, the store manager is mixing some cashew nuts costing $12 a kilo and some peanuts costing $4 a kilo. If 16 kilos of mixture is sold for $9 a kilo, how many kilos of each were in the mixture? Again, we're mixing them up. So we'll do the containers. So we're mixing the, we could call this C for cashews and P for peanuts. And the peanuts cost $12 and the peanuts cost $4. So when we mix them up, we're going to get a $9 mixture per kilogram. And how much do we mix together? So we mix these together, we're going to get 16 kilos. So there's so many kilos of this one, $12. There's so many kilos. I can put dollar signs in here just so you can see what's happening. So this is so many kilos of the cashews, so many kilos of the peanuts, and mix them together, we're going to get 16 kilos at $9. So again, the easy equation is C plus P, cashews, add on the peanuts, you're going to get 16 kilos. And this time we got $12, so it's 12 times C. Make that a C plus 4 times P equals 9 times 16. But this time we don't have a percent, which is okay. So we got 12C plus 4P, and 9 times 16 is 144. No percentages, so it's a little bit easier to work with. So that's equation 1 right here. This is equation 2, so I'm going to put that down below. Put the equations below each other. And if I multiply this one, I'm going to multiply this one by -4 because I'm eliminating the p's. 4 is smaller than 12, so it's easier to multiply. So multiply by -4, I get -4p minus, -4c minus 4p equals negative. 16 times 4 is 64 negative. And I write down 1 times this equation, stays the same. And draw a line. I'm eliminating the p's, so add, I get 8c is, and when I subtract 144, subtract 64, I get an 80. And when I divide by 8, I get c is equal to 10. And I'm going to sub that into, I'm going to sub 10 for c into, and again, the easy equation is the 1. So c plus p equals 16. So c is 10. So 10 plus p equals 16. P is 16 minus 10. P is 6. And we're looking for the number of kilograms. So we have the cashews. Cashews is C. So cashews, it has 10 kilos. And the peanuts is 6 kilos. And again, if you put 10 here, you get 120. You put 6 here, you get 24. 120 and 24 adds up to 140. 16 times 9 is 144. 4 times 6 is 24. 10 times 12 is 120. Add it gives you 144, so the answer is right. So that's mixture problems explained to you. Percents are a little bit more trouble. Percents are a little bit more trouble. But not too bad if you follow how I do it. Again, I like using the cups as a mixture and putting the percents in, or putting whatever quantities in. If you like my video, click the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. The content is on my YouTube channel, Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.